9 a.m. on the 16th. Will you join the pledge?
Hello, gentlemen and ladies. I am Randy Cole, and I have a letter to the commissioners from William Milton Cole. If I could read it to you, I'd appreciate that.
Sure.
There has been much discussion, opinionated disagreement in recent weeks regarding the wisdom of locating very, very large windmills in Cass County. My understanding is that the proposed windmills will be significantly larger and more visible to the residents than those currently seen in our nearby Hoosier communities. One concern I have would be the impact of the construction on these extra large windmills on the aquifers which support Cass County agriculture businesses. These businesses support our schools, local businesses, and government. I would hate to see a hasty decision on your part do something to lessen land values, jeopardize the water resources we need to support our citizens and our farm-based economy. Another very serious threat to our community is the decisiveness this discussion has already created among Cass County residents. It breaks my heart to see so many of my neighbors with such emotional and heartfelt reactions to one side or the other. I feel this is such a powerful emotional issue that if approved, business and personal relationships among our citizens would be severely damaged many years to come. I urge as an elected representative of Cass County citizens to carefully consider all the known benefits, not the maybe or could be potential benefits, as well as the known disruption of our agriculture base as you make your choice. All of us are watching your decision, making progress as well as your vote. Based on everything I know about windmills at this point, and if I were in your shoes, I would vote no. Jeffrey. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners and constituents. My name is Tia Justice, and I live at 806 East Market Street, right here in Logansport. What I'm here today is to present the fact that the ethics of these closed-door hearings between British-based renewable energy services and Cass County Commissioners is poor at best, given that they're being conducted backwards. Now, before any of us should have been alarmed enough to come from our homes to rally as patriots, as a tech-based 2018 reenactment of what happened between England and the United States in 1776 and again in 1812 is happening right here in our county. We've been bushwhacked. You see, this entire county and most of our surrounding area all lay in military airspace. Grissom Air Force Base is laying right at our county's feet as just one player in a rather large game of air chess that sees hundreds of low-altitude training missions performed pretty much on the daily. RES and the Commission are acutely aware that there is a much-needed Federal Aviation Administration application that must be filed before they can even think of erecting a single turbine, or any structure over 200 feet high. And that would cause a series of events to transpire that would send through, as it's sent through due process, first resulting in an official aeronautical study that would need to be performed. That would officially tip off any nearby military installment, such as Grissom, which would then have their installation encroachment management team assess and respond to the FAA study, and a notice of proposed projects that may threaten or to degrade the installation's military mission. Perceived threats are then elevated to the Department of Defense Siting Clearinghouse, which will then conduct a review of proposed wind farms. If merited, that report is then elevated to NORAD, which conducts a much deeper review that includes modeling of the adverse wind effects on navaids, specifically radar. The kicker, there is a member of Cass County's government on Grissom's installation encroachment management team. Our county commissioners can no longer feign ignorance in the face of this oversight. RES and county commissioners should have made an official FAA application concerning the land and, most importantly, the airspace that they're looking to abduct for their own benefit, not ours. Now, I know, Mr. Sailors, that you and I have already been in contention surrounding the War Memorial Home right here in town, and that your sentiments simply do not lay with the military or protecting our assets. But for the rest of the commission and our constituents here today, I would like to place on the record that the Air Force has stated and proven in multiple cases that wind turbines do indeed interfere with all aircraft, not just for military aviation. Science and studies conducted by the military, and you'll remember I brought up nav aids such as radar, have proven that wind turbines produce a significant amount of turbulence and are essentially giant magnets in the sky. So far, turbines standing at 300 feet tall have demonstrated a rather dangerous ability to create enough interference that military air traffic control loses sight and communications with their assets as they navigate above and around known wind fields. That's a field of 300-foot tall turbines, not the 600-plus foot tall turbines proposed by RES for the Harvest Wind Energy Project. Science absolutely does not know what a 600 to 636 foot tall turbine, let alone 300 of them in a small area, are going to do to aircraft, let alone high dollar military assets to routinely conduct business within our area. Why? Simple. Because turbines of this size simply do not exist on dry land. They're all offshore. As such, these devices, even at 300 feet tall, are deemed a threat, and rightfully so. They push our military to change training missions as our pilots will be forced to fly at a minimum of 500 feet above and 2,000 feet laterally around any given wind turbine. And that's if they can be seen visually. Because remember, our pilots cannot see these on radar. Snow, sleet, fog, rain, sunrise, sunset, nighttime, all of these affect pilots as they operate. Because much like the post office, our Air Force and naval aviation that use this area all operate in real life scenarios regardless of the weather. Keep in mind that low altitude training missions often have a hard deck of 500 feet above ground level, meaning they fly at just above or just at that altitude while on training missions, which is why so many of us have heard both fighter jets and refueling tankers soaring at impressively low altitudes over unobstructed rural landscapes. In 2017, Air Force Captain Josh Welsh went on the record in Oklahoma to state that pilots are forced to adjust their altitudes to no less than 500 feet above turbine height 2 miles before they reach a wind farm airspace in order to give themselves a safety buffer zone. Okay? Again, these are for turbines that are less than half the height of the ones proposed by RES. RES turbines would be pushing military aircraft to leave their usual routine and forcing them to fly at a minimum of around 1,200 feet above ground level, nearly 3 times their original mission hard deck, for a minimum of 2 miles prior to reaching and exiting an area where turbines intercede with their training area in a very fast-paced, dangerous environment where they have absolutely no radar signature and no communication. This completely erodes mission capability. These exercise routes range between 4 and 6 miles wide and offer interlap, which each area becomes a grid and playing field that has been in existence often for decades. This is such an important and pivotal part of our nation's defense that in 2017, Texas legislature passed a measure that ended tax breaks for wind farms built within 26 miles of military bases. And Oklahoma Governor Phelan signed a bill that same year to end Oklahoma's last wind tax energy incentive. These are 2 states that host a military presence much in the same magnitude as Indiana's. The message is clear, by the military at least. Our skies simply are not available for foreign profit at the expense of national defense. At any chance, Grissom Air Force Base was kind enough to confirm that RES North Cass County have submitted applications or plans for anything other than one singular meteorological observation tower, so a wind observation tower at this time. There has been no mention officially of the wind project to come. That means that the U.S. military, our big brother that we're always so worried about watching the little people, are just as in the dark as we are, folks. Okay? And I ask you, how does that seem ethical? How can that absolutely be? And the answer is simple. It's not ethical. And the reason as to why these plans and papers haven't been filed is simple. The Commission and RES are looking to postpone those reviews and those aeronautical studies while they seal the deal and then railroad both our citizens and our government with a signed bit of paper showing our approval while they try to push our military to acquiesce to a done deal where county revenue is dramatically at stake. It's the very antithesis to ethical, to say the very least. However, it does give us a chance to pause and ask several key points. 1, why does the U.S. military feel it necessary to give a 300-foot tall wind turbine a 2,000-foot lateral berth and a whole field of buffer zone clearance of 2 miles when RES and our commission deem it safe to place our stationary homes in often interlapping safe zones of 1,500 feet for turbines double that height? 2, It also begs to ask what will come of the several municipal airports that house hundreds of private planes and general aviation pilots and their air traffic control officers, which often do not have machinery as astute or proficient as our military does. There have already been several incidents involving private planes and wind turbines that have resulted in the death of pilots and passengers alike, all from seasoned pilots with thousands upon thousands of accident-free flight hours who are flying well-maintained personal aircraft in a myriad of weather conditions. And when will Rez come out of the shadows? When will Mr. Leela crawl out from under his rock and sit for a public debate over the facts? I know I've personally called for him to do so multiple times to no avail, and as such I'm here again to do it in the same breath that I remind you commissioners that you are servants, not kings, and are subject to law and regulation just as the rest of us are. As such, I believe the citizens of Cass County are entitled to demand that you put this entire abortion of justice on the back burner, file the appropriate requests and applications with the FAA, and allow due process to decide when and if this is even feasible, being that it pollutes military airspace, and then move on from there. Apparently the voices of your constituents aren't enough to halt this mess, and you have little intention of allowing the government that prevails over you to do its job. Do things the right way, or not at all. Your time for re-election is coming up. While you may have no intention of running again once you've properly lined your coffers with foreign coin, keep in mind that you are the seat warmers for red, white, and blue-blooded Americans like me that are coming to clean up the mess that you're leaving behind. And that mess is your legacy and how you are going to be remembered by history. Thank you. This is from Grissom Air Force Base.
Thank you.
I'm sure you have them.
Last Wednesday evening, I requested a meeting with Commissioner Bonnie. Seeing this wind farm debate come up, the thing that caught my eye is the property setbacks. Rez does not have the right to intrude upon my property with a 1,000-foot setback from my
Do
dwelling.
you have a name
Ryan Browning,
and address?
4290 South, County Road 650 West. Although I do not live in the area where these wind turbines are there, it still affects me. Every vote you commissioners make affects every citizen in this county. I was told that the citizens that don't live in the county, they don't need to know. It does not affect them. False statement. It does. We all pay taxes to this county. The setbacks. What gives the right for somebody to intrude upon my property? They don't have that right. All setbacks at a minimum have to be measured, should be measured from property lines. Second, I asked about how many acres this project needs. I'm told I do not know. How can you commissioners be considering a project where you do not know the details? That just is no way, shape, or form seems right to me. Secondly, I was told that Mr. Milk Cole had signed up his land. I asked, are you sure about that? Yes, 6 months ago. I seen the papers. But yet, now we learn there has been no coal ground signed up. Is Rez giving you commissioners the same cheesy used car sales speech that it's giving other landowners in the area? I left my meeting with Commissioner Ladoni feeling I had done more research on my own than what the commissioners have done and learned about wind turbines. Gentlemen, that is unacceptable in every way, shape, and form, and I am disappointed in all three of you.
Good morning. My name is Judy Kellums. I own farm ground in 7285 West, 1000 South in Lucerne. I own farm ground in Fulton and Cass counties, and my sister owns ground in Fulton, Cass, and Miami counties. We were contacted by a Rez salesman and met with him on April 19, 2017. We knew very little about the proposed industrial wind turbines. We quickly learned that we needed to ask questions to get the whole picture as the sales pitches were being thrown to us. The one that surprised me most was that this company wasn't even American. I knew I wanted no part of leasing my family's farm for a quarter of a century to Europe. However, we wanted to be polite and hear him out. The sales tactics used by this representative of Revs were shady and deceptive. He started by estimating how much of our projected earnings could be from the proposed 5-stage project of approximately 65 600-foot industrial wind turbines for each stage. Words like estimated, proposed, projected, and approximately mean nothing more than, we hope this is what you might receive. Then the name dropping began. Matt Weber, Tony Hurd, Milt Cole, which we just heard that that's not true. All the big landowners have already signed up, he said. We were told that anyone with a good business sense would surely sign. He tried his best to make us feel inferior. He said, well, you're going to have to look at them anyway, that you'll be sitting here not getting any money for it. Your neighbors will be getting paid. He also told us how the small schools that we attended will surely close their doors if we didn't lease our farm ground, that the tax dollars generated by the turbines were their only hope. The final slap was when he told us that our parents were on board and excited about the project when the previous company had visited them a few years ago. First off, my dad didn't get excited about anyone coming onto his land to do anything. My parents were both dead when we met with Rez that day, Dad having died only 6 months before, and our salesman was fully aware of that fact. I did the books for my parents since 2011 when my mom had died, and I'm 100% certain there was no contract, no mention of getting on board. The blatantly falsified use of Mr. Cole's good name and implying that we should sign up because that's what our dead parents would have wanted speaks volumes about Rez and the way they do business. This is not the sort of company that I want to do business with. Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning.
Kyle Reed, 3049 West 500 North, Rolla Center, Indiana. I'd like to put it on public record that I'm here to notify you that I'm providing you today with 140 more signatures from residents and landowners requesting an increased setback from WEX projects. That brings the total to 1,485 citizens who are against the current setbacks. This number also likely reflects 1,485 citizens who will not be voting in your favor in your next election. That is not a threat. It's just simple common sense that citizens will vote the other way when they are not listened to by the officials who are elected to serve them. May I present these? Thank you very much.
Good morning. Laura Redwick, 5524 North, County Road 600 East, Walnut, Indiana. You've heard as far as Milt Cole, and then you've heard as far as the sales pitch. This is not only misleading, it's completely dishonest and unethical. It makes you wonder what other practices are going that are unethical in our commissioners' meeting rooms. We've spoken with our lawyer. There are several situations that could potentially negate the landowners' contracts, the ones who have currently signed. The list includes, but not limited to, and this is for any landowners out there that will be watching this video, which many do, and I know you guys do as well, and I appreciate that. Misrepresentation on part of the developer. Also, if the developer withheld some key information. There are several other ways for landowners to get out of contracts, but these seem to be the two most that fit in this situation. I would like to urge my fellow Cass County citizens, if you have signed a lease agreement but now regret your decision, please speak with your attorney. You may have legal grounds to get out of your contract if a res employee misled you with false information. This is a serious offense, and this type of behavior and this type of company is not welcome in Cass County. Thank you.
My name's Leslie, here on December 18th, and I spoke on the topic of infrasound, which is noise we cannot hear that the wind turbines generate. I argued for a larger setback, a half mile as requested by the petitions you've received. When I first started looking at wind turbines, I had friends ask me about this last summer. And you know, I didn't think one way or another because I was uneducated. I did not know, you know, and I'm sure you folks sitting in these seats up here at one time or another, maybe still are in the same position. And there's no shame in ignorance. There's shame in denying the truth once you know the truth. As I studied and came along, I'm shocked daily by all the stuff I learned and the stuff that's not put forth. On January 2nd, I spoke at the Commissioners meeting again, and I pleaded again for longer setbacks. I'm sure you folks remember. As I've been studying, and the more I know, the more I wish I almost didn't know about these things. But a half mile isn't enough. A mile is good. 3 miles is better. You know, it's frightening what the turbines do and how they affect us in so many ways. And I also tried to bring into the spotlight at the last Commissioners meeting that much like Humpty Dumpty, Cass County will not be able to put it all back together again once he's arrived. The industrial wind turbine hand has many fingers, and this gets very distracting. You know, you see the tearing away of the social fabric of the community, as Mr. Cole's letter. Initially, the first thing he mentioned was that, and that's huge. But it also has health effects, economical effects. You got these sneaky wind company, you know, tactics with the leaseholders, as well as I'm sure with the commissioners and other people, officials of Cass County. Tax companies or subsidies. There's a huge shell game of big wind companies selling to the next big wind company. And there's a lot of reasons they do that, and it's all economical. And I could go into it, we don't have time in our 3 minutes here. There's so much to discuss that it gets, like I said before, a little confusing and hard to focus. And the stuff you learn daily, you know, it's amazing. It's amazing what's out there. Some of it truthful, some of it sponsored by organizations that if you follow the rabbit trail, you're back to the wind company. You know, there's a lot of falseness out there, especially in this day and age with the internet access. But one thing we can all identify with is money. We all got to play the money game, whether we choose to or not. That's the game we play. In everyday life, in society, we all got to pay our bills, we got to eat, we got to make money, we got to function. But there is a huge negative economical impact that wind turbines have on host communities. And this will be the same impact it has on us, Cass County. This is a beautiful area we live in. The state of Indiana is a fairly beautiful state with the exception of a few corners that I run across once in a while. I live where I live because of the beauty and the nature and the quietness in the surrounding area. But when we get back to the economics, there are many reasons why wind projects can be a huge economic liability to the host community. Some of these have been touched on already here at this meeting, but I'm going to just run through my list really quick. Number one, that affects everyone in the area. Studies from independent experts have concluded that property values will decrease for residents within wind turbine project areas. Thank you, Mr. Commissioners. As property values decrease, it not only affects me, my property, but it will ultimately affect the property tax revenues that Cass County pulls in, and they will decrease. Ralph Anderson was quoted as saying he wouldn't want to live by one. I agree. Neither do I. Studies from medical professionals have concluded that some nearby citizens will experience adverse health effects. Some citizens in these areas experience them and they don't even know that's what's going on with them. There are many reasons why they affect the health. The biggest concern, the one I see, would be the infrasound that I spoke about in the first meeting when I was here. And that's noise we cannot hear. The World Health Organization has stated that infrasound is more problematic than audible sound. Infrasound can be so harmful that the U.S. military is actually researching weaponizing it. They've done this, and there's instances where this has happened already. Over 100 studies have concluded that there will be health consequences in a wind turbine project area. Being unhealthy costs everyone money. Industrial wind projects clash with real farming. Studies from independent experts across the country have concluded that agricultural yields will decrease in up to 15 miles away from wind project area. My husband farms, my neighbors farm. It's not good things I want to hear. And what happens in a lot of cases with the farmers, in some cases after turbine lease payments begin, local farms terminate operations. That results in reduced local unemployment, reduced local procurements for product to farm, and reduced local production. Another thing, studies from independent experts have concluded if you have tourism in the area, in that region, it will drop. For example, North Carolina State University, who are avid wind proponents, surveyed tourists in the area. Although the majority of visitors surveyed stated they supported wind energy, around 80% said they would not vacation in an area where the wind facility was visible. Another reason, studies from independent experts have concluded that industrial wind projects can adversely affect hunting and possibly fishing for many, many reasons. And that flows into the next problem that has an economic impact on our area. Studies from independent experts have concluded that industrial wind projects can cause major ecosystem damage. Ecosystem destruction due to clear cutting, due to turbine, avian, and bat killing. Thousands of birds are likely to be killed annually, and raptors are a particular concern. Additionally, large numbers of bats are also and will likely be exterminated. Both bats and birds, if you don't realize, are an integral part of a healthy environment. Their wholesale destruction will have a serious ramification on this area's ecosystem. There's ecosystem degradation due to the turbine noise. It's well known that animals are affected by noise. In fact, the range of sounds that we can hear is far less than an animal can hear. Their sensitivity to sounds far exceeds that of humans. Of particular concern is the low frequency noise that is generated by these modern industrial wind turbines, and these are industrial. The ecosystem degradation is from wind turbines can also affect weather. Modern industrial wind turbines, as tall as 600 foot or more, have determined to adversely affect local weather for as much, again, as 15 miles from this project area. Studies have concluded that wind turbines can influence the weather enough to have significant impact on local ecosystems. These studies use satellite data to verify wind projects were adversely influencing the weather. There's also a lot of ecosystem degradation due to habitat disturbance and just fragmenting the habitat of these animals. Studies have also included, and the lady before touched on this, that experts have concluded that serious hydrogeological consequences from wind projects can happen because they're pounding into the ground. We have people with wells. I have a well at my home that I get my water from. Wells are affected. Some never regain good water. That equals no water source for residents in the area. Studies from independent experts have also concluded that these harm wildlife and livestock animals. Research by independent experts have shown wind projects can have serious interference with military facilities, as was noted earlier in this meeting. Despite implications otherwise by the big wind companies, leaseholders will suffer economic losses. Intermittent wind energy ultimately increases electric prices and destabilizes the power grid that we all rely on. So before any community can say the wind project is a financial windfall, a comprehensive and objective financial analysis should be done. I do not believe this has been done in Cass County. Right now, no one in any federal, state, or local agency is thoroughly investigating these wind energy liabilities. Without such an analysis, all financial claims are simply one side of the economic equation and are not an accurate representation of the net economic impact to an area. Furthermore, the only thing guaranteed by wind turbine projects is a lower quality of life for those living amongst them. We need to be good stewards of what's been given to us. We need to be good stewards of God's creation. We do not get a redo once this industrial wind turbines arrive. Please consider the county's position on this project. It is bad for Cass County. Thank you so much for your time.
My name is Elizabeth Thomas. I live at 6528 North 900 East 12 Mile. I have an email here today I would like to read to you guys. I would like it to be a matter of public record based on information obtained from an access to public records request. County officials are aware that wind turbines drop neighboring property values. I'm sharing this so our commissioners are aware that the public has this information, and so it's a matter of public record that you've been provided with it. In this email obtained from an access to public information request, White County's Plan Director Colin Betts tells Fulton County's Plan Director Casey Coles the reason for the half-mile setback on the river is because wind turbines would be detrimental to their property values. To place industrial wind turbines near their waterfront homes would be detrimental. They don't want to decrease the property of the value of their riverfront, aka expensive homes. Why isn't everyone's property value worth protecting in White County? Cass County has modeled our wind ordinance after White County. In a Kokomo Tribune article by Carson Gerber, dated April 21st, 2013, entitled "Where's the Wind? Wind Farm Company Eyes Miami County for Development," Miami County Commissioner Josh Francis said he worked closely with Cass and White County officials to write the ordinance. He said all the counties wanted to be on the same page in case a wind company wanted to develop a farm spanning county lines. Francis then goes on to say, "We tried to work with these counties to make sure our ordinances were the same because these companies don't want to have to deal with a bunch of different policies." In the following email exchange then between Fulton County Plan Director Casey Coles and White County Plan Director Colin Betts, Coles writes, "Hello, do you happen to remember why White County chose a half-mile setback from the river for large wecks? The Plan Commission certified our recommended amendments to the commissioners with the same half-mile setback from the river. The commissioners now have the amendments for review, and they have some members of the public that are asking why there's a half-mile setback from the river. I'm thinking their thoughts are if the river has a half-mile setback, everything else should too. My thoughts are the half-mile takes into account the floodplain and FEMA regs, but I thought I would ask you. I'm hoping you can tell me it's a DNR FEMA regulation, and you just copied it. Thanks for your help, Casey." Colin Betts then replies, "I believe there are a few reasons why the half-mile setback was established, mostly due to the nature of development in White County, which tends to be centered along the water. First, having a commercial WEX within the developed river and potential river are developed would be detrimental to our property values. They are not an asset to the river area where residential and recreational uses are desired. It is unlikely that any WEX in this area would not encroach on concentrated residential areas or in areas where the growth is desired. Also, this is proportionally consistent with setbacks to other physical assets of the county." Colin. So, we must ask the question, why isn't everybody's property value worth protecting in Cass County? Officials in the project area know neighboring property values will decrease, yet they allow Res to steal our property value and rights when the turbines are built. We have given you proof that officials in the county that our wind ordinance is modeled after the new property values will decrease. And they told officials in this project area industrial wind turbines decrease neighboring property values. We have encouraged everyone in Cass County to get an appraisal of their property at this time as a baseline before the industrial wind turbines are installed. Our citizens will then have documented proof when the market value of their homes and the property near the turbines decrease because they are not protected by the county officials with appropriate setbacks. And I have copies of this for you guys. Can I bring those up? My name is Deidre Dott. It was spelled wrong on the minutes in the commissioners meeting, D-O-D-T. I live at 513 West, County Road 800 North. I would like to put it on public record that the people whose lives will be greatly affected by this WEX project have been asking repeatedly for information and have been denied by multiple sources, or even given different answers from the commissioners. Like at the last commissioners meeting, Christy Householder has been on the agenda repeatedly as being scheduled to report on projects she's been working on. Project Breeze could potentially be the biggest wind project in the nation. And yet Christy, who seems to hold all the information, is withholding all information from the public. If this project is so great and the people of Cass County property rights are so wrong and so misinformed, why are Christy and the commissioners not offering information? Why are they not refuting our data and telling us the many ways that this project will benefit our county? Why are they not calming the fears of the people they serve by negating our claims with unbiased data of their own and not from the wind developer? Why are they not trying to get the buy-in from all of the people instead of protecting the interest of the minute number of pro-wind citizens in the county? If these elected and appointed officials are so truly serving the best interest of the people, why are you not concerned with the 1,485 people who have very strong concerns about this secret project? Thank you.
Good morning. I am Ashley Berry. I live at 5227 North, State Road 25. I just want to start out that I have lived in Cass County since I was born. I chose to stay here. When I got married, my husband was a Fulton County resident, and I said, no, we're staying in Cass County. I have family in Rural Center, Walton, Young America. We live just north of Logan. So my roots are here. And for these to come in, my husband and I, if they come in, we will move. Like, we're going to move the county. We're not going to subject. I mean, I feel like as a mom, my duty is to protect my kids, and I'm not going to subject my kids to this. My other thing I want to bring up is I got a notice of a public hearing held at 6 p.m. on January 22nd for a neighbor who's got a half of acre who it's zoned agriculture and they want to put a house on it, so they're going to zone it different. Why aren't we doing this with all these turbines? I mean, these are industrial turbines coming on industrial ground. This house probably isn't going to affect me or my family, but the turbines will. This should be given the same thing as just a house. I mean, this house is going to be, what, a few hundred feet tall, if that, and these turbines are going to be over 600 feet tall. I mean, it's a big deal. Please consider this. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jeff Zimmer. I live at 9949 North, County Road 650 West, Royal Center. I'm not a speaker or talker, so bear with me. I lived in Cass County all my life, northern Cass County. When I heard wind turbines come to Cass County, I didn't know what to think about it. Then I heard the wind turbines are going to be like over 600 feet tall. Then I learned that these wind turbines are never built anywhere on U.S. soil. And if these two facts are true, I don't know why Cass County would want to be a guinea pig for a project like this. It's never been done anywhere on U.S. soil. This hasn't only put neighbor against neighbor, it's put family member against family member. And I don't like seeing that. Most people back there don't like seeing that. Northern Cass County is really it's called a rural area. It's pretty well heavily populated. If you drive across Cass County, you'll see a lot of just individual homes. Majority of people in Cass County, all they own is an acre of ground to live on. If you own 4 or 5 acres, maybe 15, 20 acres, just enough to have a hobby farm, a place where you can raise some horses to enjoy, or a place big enough to release 4-H livestock for the kids to show at the fair. This is going to impact a lot of people. Most people in northern Cass County, they're not going to be asked to put a wind turbine on their property. They don't have enough property to do it. It's just going to be for a few small farmers. I don't think it's necessary. They keep talking about setbacks. I think Cass County ought to ban wind turbines altogether. There's other counties in the state that has banned wind turbines, and I think that's what we're going to take. We won't worry about damn setbacks, just ban them altogether. Everybody talks about the money coming to the county. Cass County's got along all these years without wind turbines. I'm sure if wind turbines don't come to Cass County, we'll get it along just fine without it. I think the money got nothing to do with what I said. Thank you for your time.
Motion to adjourn, if nobody else.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting's adjourned.